Hello and welcome back to Zero Cool Gaming and today's long play of Reckoning. Alright, a little bit of issues starting up there. Hold on a second. Alright, okay. Sorry about that. Now, today I'm going to talk about something interesting, I guess, and my opinions of it, and, things like that. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you a rundown of a game that I actually enjoy, and hate. I think I enjoy it more than I hate it, though. So, it's one of those odd conundrums. And the name of the game is Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Now, you might be wondering why I hate this game. I hate this game because I feel like it is a deliberate exploitation of my psychological profile. And what do I mean by that? Well, I've known for years that companies pay for let's call it a psychological overview of society, so that they can determine how to advertise to us and things to that effect. It's been going on for years. It's not like this is anything new. And I feel like this game was designed deliberately to figure out what somebody of my personality type, in other words, a gamer, what am I willing to put up with? That's basically what I feel like this game was designed to do. It was literally designed to figure out exactly how much BS am I willing to put up with before I say I had enough. And unfortunately, what it proved was I'm willing to put up with a lot. More than I should. Truly. But I do it anyway. And that's why I call this game an exploitation of my psychological profile. They knew that I was willing to put up with a lot. They wanted to find out just how many of us were willing to put up with this. And they found out. Most of us. Most of us were willing to put up with this. And I think they truly knew that to begin with, but they needed a test platform to prove that. And that's what they did here. This was their test platform they created to prove that they could expertly, and I do mean expertly, take advantage of my type of psychology, of the type of person I am. So, what is Star Ocean till the end of the time? Well, it's obviously a Star Ocean video game. There's hundreds of hours of gameplay in the game itself, and a bunch of mechanics within it that are taken to the extreme, and deliberately so.
I'll kill you all if I have to. Damn boggers. Give me a moment.
So, Star Ocean till the end of time, as far as the story, it's a story that we've seen many times before, just kind of taken from a different perspective. Rather than being like the Matrix, where machines have taken over and put people into a virtual world, this story is from the perspective of programs within that virtual world that are not aware of what they are, and they figure out a way to manifest themselves in the physical world. It's a new take, interesting take, but that's basically what the story is. It's not bad. It's pretty enjoyable. I enjoyed it anyway, as far as the story goes. The characters are well written. I have no problem with the characters. The story was well written. I have no problem with the story. Even the basic gameplay I enjoy. Even with some of the, what's the word that I should use here? The mechanics, like the item creation mechanics, is convoluted. Just absolutely convoluted. There's no way that you could do this without save scumming unless you wanted to put thousands of hours into this game. And then you could learn the item creation system, or at the very least just have created enough items to get an understanding of it. So let me go ahead and tell you the story of this game and what it did to me, and you know, all the ins and outs thereafter. I don't hate the game for what it did. I actually kind of enjoyed it, as sick as that may sound. But I did, because it made me think. And games today don't do that. It also gave me consequences for my actions, and games today don't do that either. And I like both of those things. I like there to be actual consequences for my actions. I like there to be systems that force me to learn them, even though this one is convoluted as all get out. It still forced me to learn it. And that part of it I liked. Do I like the system as a whole? Absolutely not. But, you know, I played it, I learned it, hated it, but did it anyway. So, when I was first introduced to this game, I actually bought it for my kids. Having no idea really what it was. It was a PS2 game, you know. I bought my PS2 when the PS3 came out. This was one of the games on like the $5, you know, bargain bin, whatever. And I just picked it up and I bought it for the kids. I think it's a teen game. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. I bought it for them. And one of them came up to me after playing it and was like, I can't get any further in the game. So he asked me to take a look at the character and where he was at and see if I could figure out a way around this problem. The problem being that the game would kill him no matter what he did.
Take care.
So I picked up, you know, where he was, and I played for a couple hours and basically had the same experience he did. It didn't matter where I went, or what I did. The game would kill me repeatedly. To give you an idea of where he was and where also I ended up with the same problem, was essentially the halfway mark of the game. Just before you go from disc 1 to disc 2. And it was actually just before the battle with the giant dragon that can talk. Okay, so just before this battle, everything in the area before that and the things that you have to do, and he was like a level 24. Some of his other characters were like level, you know, in the teens. And yeah, the whole area was just a bloodbath. If you got into any battle, it was a flip of a coin whether you would get out of it alive. Or you could use a lot of items to try to keep yourself alive to finish the battle, but then you don't have enough items to continue on in the game. So I knew there was a problem, truly. And I was like, okay. I didn't have any idea what he had done or what was wrong. It might have just been, you know, that we were both doing something wrong because I didn't understand the mechanics of the game either. And I looked and I said, I'm going to have to restart this game from the beginning to figure out what what's going on here and why you can't get anywhere. The game was basically soft lock. I believe that's how they word that today. It was a soft lock because you were too low of a level to continue on in the game from that point forward.
You're either brave or a fool. If you could kill me,
Um,
perhaps the boggarts would leave us alone. All right. Travel north to the boggarts' lair and
so I restarted the game.
clear out their caves.
And I started playing from the beginning. And, basically I just kind of went through in each section and I took out whatever enemies were available and moved on to the next section. Again, took out whatever enemies were available and moved on to the next section.
Around here, that's as good as dead.
There were mechanics that I was introduced to in the tutorial, such as the battle gauge and the bonuses that come with that. But I found it incredibly difficult to maintain the battle gauge, so I really didn't worry about it. I didn't pay much attention to it. And the tutorial does tell you that you will need the triple EXP bonus that the battle gauge can provide. But to me, it seemed like more of a suggestion rather than a necessity. So, I played through the story and I played through and, I got other characters and I did this and I did that and I talked and, kind of messed around with the item creation system, didn't really get anywhere with it, and just kind of moved through the story. And when I got to that point in the game, I found that I was in the exact same position that he was. I was roughly around the level 24. All the enemies in the area were way too powerful for me, and I could easily team wipe and, game over. And I'm like, this isn't right at all. It shouldn't be like this. What am I doing wrong? So my decision that I was faced with at that point was to spend probably 50 hours grinding, getting the low amounts of EXP that I could with the mobs that I could defeat on a regular basis without it costing me items and everything else all the time. Or restart the game again and try to figure out a better way. What I chose to do was to restart the game again and figure out a better way. And this time I really paid attention to what the game was saying, all the way through the game, every time. I would really pay close attention to it and see how all of it applied. So, this time what I ended up doing was building my battle gauge and then replaying the same areas. In the very beginning of the game, I replayed those same areas like 5-6 times, killing the 3 or 4, I think it's 4 creatures that you have available in the first areas. Re-killing those same 4 creatures like 5-6 times over, going back and forth between the 2 screens. Keeping my battle gauge up, like I said, the whole time, and getting triple EXP. And I did that from the point of getting triple EXP forward, so I went through them probably a total of 10-12 times. Because the first 4 or 5 you're building the gauge, and then the next 4 or 5 you're using it. And then I moved on. And this approach to the game seemed a whole lot better, but what I also noticed is that as I would advance through the story to each new area, I needed to play that new area essentially twice as long as I'd played the area before. So if I went through the first area 12 times, now I got to go through this area like 20 times. And since I went through this area like 20 times, now I got to go through the next area like 40 times. Yeah. I know. Insanity. But by doing this and sticking to that basically format, by the time I found myself to the midpoint of the game again, instead of being a level 24, I was like a level 50. And then when the game gave me the Ring of Destruction, I realized, because it doesn't just give you the Ring of Destruction, it gives you the Ring of Destruction and the Buster Bunny, I believe it is, or whatever it's called. I think it's called the Buster Bunny, or the Gutsy Bunny. That's what it is, a Gutsy Bunny. Now, what the Gutsy Bunny does, let me start with the Ring of Destruction. You've gotten items of destruction up to this point, different items that would destroy destructible objects or walls within the game. You've gotten 2 different ones, but they were very specific to the area that they were being used. This time you get a Ring of Destruction, which is capable of destroying all sorts of stuff in all the different areas that you've already been through. Yeah, I know. It only gets worse from here. And I realized, third time. And I realized that what the game wanted me to do was go through the entire game from the very beginning of the game with the Ring of Destruction and the Gutsy Bunny and replay essentially the entire game up to that point again, unlocking new items, because now you can get to the chests that you couldn't get to before, and you can break down the walls and get to other stuff. And I mean, it was obvious what they wanted me to do now that I was paying attention to it. Excuse me. So I was like, okay, I can do this. And of course, you know, I go back through all the different areas and I replay the entire game from beginning to that point again in the order that I played it through originally, and got all that experience and got all those items. And this is what allowed me to get to the level that I was. Now, do I like all the grinding in this game? Absolutely not. But what I did like about it was the fact that it had created mechanics that if you chose to ignore, there were real consequences to that, in the form of time. How much time is going to take you to fix that problem should you choose not to restart the game. And the amount of time that it takes to fix that problem is extreme at that point. So that part of it I actually liked. I had no problems with that.
You're a brave soul coming to Didenhill. This little village is fair
And when I
pretty
actually
bad.
listened to the
I would
game
know.
and
I
followed
was
what
in
it
the
was
war.
telling me to do,
It's in your best interest to fill your pack and depart
teaches
as
you
soon as
how
you're able.
to
The blood plague works fast.
maintain
very
your
fast.
levels. Are there faster ways of doing it? Absolutely.
You met Gisela?
Do I know what they are?
I sent that death
No,
notice.
I don't
She should
know
know
the
that I'm
mechanics well enough to do that. I'd probably have to play the
She
game
cannot
5
know
or
that
6
I
times to
survived.
learn them that
Call
well.
me a coward. Call me whatever you
But
wish.
I'm sure that there is a
She
faster,
went so
more
long
efficient
ago.
way to do that.
I am broken.
I'm sure there's
Cannot
certain
subject
places
her
to
the nightmares,
grind
the
for certain
wounds,
things that would
restlessness.
allow for
Spare her
that.
torment.
Wouldn't surprise me if there's items that give you extra experience when you take them. I don't know if those are the type of item, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's foods you can make that would do stuff like that.
It's easy to say that, but I have stared the horrors of war in the eye and seen only death.
So
Gisela deserves a new life, one not marred
there's
by
that.
Tuatha. Every night I weep for what I have.
And then we come to the item creation system. Now, truly, the item creation system really doesn't become something that you need to do until the end of the game. And you might not even have to do it then, depending on how you played the game. I mean, if you go through the extra dungeons that it gives you before the end of the game and you complete those, you're probably at a high enough level to just complete the game without having to worry about creating items. But I wanted to create more powerful items. So what I did was the only thing I could do. Save scum. And a lot of it. Hours and hours and hours of save scumming. And then when I would make something that I would want, I would, circle it and then try to make it again. Oh my God. The insanity behind that system is exactly that. It is truly the prelude to loot boxes.
Pretty nasty, and I've seen my fair share of infections and ailments.
Where you grind to get, all the stuff you need to do your loot box pulls, and then you do your loot box pulls, and everything you get is junk.
You don't want to know about me. Besides,
Yeah.
that name
This
hardly
is
means anything to me now.
definitely the prelude to that system.
Shadow of the boy from
Except this one wasn't monetized. And you could save scum because there's not online saving as the process is going through, in other words. I know that these online games, when you say you want to, pull 10 boxes, it saves right then and there. So that you can't go back and reload a previous and pull 10 more and keep doing that till you get what you want. They don't allow you to do that.
I'd rather not talk about
Of course,
that's okay
this
with
being
you.
a single player game, and there's no money being exchanged, they didn't care if we did that, I guess. I don't know. I know later games implemented that same insanity, even in the single player games where it didn't matter, because it was part of the online element. Talk about irritating. Now that is enough to make me quit a game. And has made me quit games, truly.
I paid a scholar to fashion a false death
When you
notice.
implement a
Currently
save
used to
system
inform the next of kin
into
that a soldier
your
has fallen in the line of
loot
duty.
box item
Courier
creation,
left with it several days ago. All my
yeah,
hope
I'm
for
done.
Gisela's future went with it.
I'm not playing that. I'm not spending thousands of hours grinding for all of those items just so that you can take them away from me and make me go grind for them again. Nope. I will nope right out of that every
Once
time.
an old Alpha outpost. Nothing extraordinary.
Which is probably why I
Last
haven't
line of defense.
paid
We
for
held back the Tuatha through long
pay-to-win
nights of
games.
fire.
And I don't play pay-to-win games. And when I say pay-to-win games, I basically mean every online game there is. Period. All of them. I don't care if it's a pay-to-win system or not. If it's got a monetization system within the game that's more than what the game cost, that's pay-to-win. I don't care if it's cosmetic or not. That's just how I view that sort of stuff. I'm not going to pay to to play my game or get the things that I want within it, or that's insane. I won't do it. I refuse. Just outright. Which is why I know about games that do that insanity. But this game does allow you to save scum, and it requires, like I said, hours of it. Hours and hours and hours and hours. And when I say that, I literally mean like 20, 30 hours to create the, let's say, the 30 items that you actually want. You're going to spend an hour for each one. Does it work out evenly like that? Absolutely not. You might create 2 of them in 10 minutes, and then the next one you won't create for 2 hours. That's kind of how that actually works out and plays out. But yes, the item creation system in this game is absolute insanity, to say the least. Yet I still engaged with it, because I didn't want to sit there and grind for 30, 40, 50 hours, which I still ground for in the form of save scumming, to get my levels up higher and finish the game. So it doesn't matter how you do it, truly. And I also believe that was intentional as well. They wanted to find out how many people were like me and how many people would sit there and grind for it.
It's gone.
And I'm sure there were other answers to this problem as well.
These damn boggats.
I don't know what those other answers are, but I'm sure that there were other answers to these issues.
Well, Lumpkin.
If you want to call them that, there are other answers to these issues. I've never played the game in the most ideal way, or the most efficient way, or the most game-breaking way in that respect. I have no doubt that with the systems they provide you, there are ways to absolutely break that game. I have no doubt on that. Excuse me. But I had no want or desire to break the game. I just wanted to get through it. And, you know, truly to me at the time, I was glad that they gave me options on how to do that. I didn't really like either of them, but at least it gave it to them, or gave them to me. Which is a lot more than you can say for games today that give you no options. You will do it the way they want you to, or you won't do it at all.
Some get through it. Others don't.
And like I said, I also enjoyed the fact that this game actually had consequences for your actions. Should you choose to excuse me. Should you choose to not listen to what the game is trying to teach you to do, or to just try to rush through the game in that respect. There's consequences for that, real ones. And truly, yes, you know, I wish it wasn't done in the way that it was, but the fact that there were consequences I enjoyed, yes. It drove me to do better. Now, does that mean that's the way these games should be? I don't think so. Like I said in the beginning, I think that these were prototypes designed to see just how far they could push it. So that when they went to monetizing this stuff, they would know just how far they could push it. And they still pushed it over the limit. With some games. And people just noped right out of it.
What is it you... Oh, hello. Did Thaddeus send you? Kester Barclay.
So, you know, there's that. It's kind of a good thing, I guess.
Has me a bit on edge.
So, Star Ocean till the end of time. Is it a good game?
The boggarts carry it in their
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Everywhere. Normally they think
Is it
they
an
do themselves.
irritating game?
Looks like some
Yes.
children got into their lair.
Yes, it is.
Force the boggarts
Is it
out.
difficult? It can be. It can be extremely difficult.
You're either brave or a fool. If you could kill the Jotun, perhaps the
But
boggarts would
all
leave
in
you
all,
alone.
I enjoyed it.
Travel north to the
Regardless
boggarts'
of
lair
its
in
flaws.
Spain. Clear out their caves.
Regardless of the irritation.
Driving the Jotun
Regardless
to Royal's Bay
of
would be the
the
best thing you
insanity
could do for
that
us.
it asked me
Of
to
course, their
engage
strangers will
with
probably use some
in
more as
order
well.
to complete it.
We won't likely
I
kill
still
you.
had a desire to do it.
Kitten, huh? Around here, that's as good as
And
dead.
that to me is, relatively good game design.
Boggart we can handle. But 10, 20? It's only
I
a matter
can't
of time
knock
before
it.
the whole town is infected.
It just makes me
Can't allow
feel
them to run around unchecked. All the folks here at risk.
taken advantage of.
Boyle's Bane is a boggart cave just north of town.
That's kind of the impression that I got out of the game when I finished the game, is that I was taken advantage of.
Right into our town. Don't know what the Jotun were looking
And
for, or
deliberately
if they
so.
found it, and I don't care. I just want them gone.
Because they knew that my psychology would not allow me
Merchants,
to
tradesmen,
just walk away from it.
equipped to deal with a threat like this.
And that's scary when you think about it, people. That is truly scary.
Almost twice as tall as man, just as wide.
But anyway,
Why they came to Glendara
that's
is
my rant for the day. And I hope you enjoy the rest of yours.
we weren't going to
If you
stop
could, hit the like and rumble button, hit subscribe, the buttons down below.